The Galaxy Z Fold 2 is here, and we have the specs, the release date, and the price of the latest foldable phone, so let's break down all the details. First things first, the phone costs $1,999 and it will be released on September the 18th, with pre-orders beginning on September 2nd. Let's talk about the stuff on the spec sheet. So when Samsung first announced the Z Fold 2 at Samsung Unpacked a couple of weeks ago, along with all the Galaxy Note phones, we did find out a few details about the phone, namely that the front will have a cover that is a 6.2-inch Super AMOLED display, where it opens up to a 7.6-inch dynamic AMOLED display with a 120Hz variable refresh rate, and it's covered in Samsung's ultra-thin glass, also similar glass to that used on the Z Flip. But now we know some other details about the phone that we didn't know previously. It will have a side fingerprint sensor for unlocking, facial recognition as well for biometric unlock, the choice of Mystic Bronze or Black as a color, and if you buy it through Samsung directly, you'll be able to customize the color of the hinge that your phone comes with, one of 4 colors: red, blue, silver, or gold. But the other top line specs are strikingly similar to the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. That includes the 120Hz refresh screen that I mentioned earlier, also a 4500 mAh battery, 12 GB of RAM. It is 256 GB storage, which is a bump up from the lower 128 base tier on the Note 20 Ultra, although the Z Fold 2 won't come with expandable storage, such as a micro SD slot, like the Note series. And it will run the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 Plus processor, but this time around, everybody is getting the Qualcomm processor. There will not be an Exynos variant, and it will be 5G. As for the hinge, we already knew that it was going to be a hideaway hinge design, which allows the phone to enter into flex mode, pretty much the same as the Z Flip, so it can stay open and hold its orientation when you want to do things like take selfies, watch a movie, or do a video call totally hands-free. Samsung has also said that the hinge has been tested to 200,000 folds. That is the same rating as the original Galaxy Fold. Now, I do have some bad news to bring you, and it is that this phone is not water resistant. There is no IP rating, unfortunately. So that's a bit of a sad face from me. So don't take it, to the beach, the pool, the bathroom, or the toilet, wherever you take your phone. It is not IP rated for any sort of water resistance. On the front cover is Gorilla Glass Victus, which is the current so-called strongest level of Gorilla Glass that you can get at the moment. But on the back, the cover is Gorilla Glass 6, so it's last generation's glass. The screen protector is also an interesting one because in the box, the phone will have a pre-installed screen protector on the front, but that's user removable if you don't like it. On the inside, when you open up the phone, it will also have a screen protector, but you are not supposed to remove this one. But if you do want it taken out, you can contact Samsung and they will remove it for you. The camera is not too much of a surprise from what we were expecting, at least on the hardware front. That rear camera, 12 megapixels on all 3 cameras, on the ultra-wide, regular wide angle, and on the telephoto, and the 10 megapixel selfie camera on the front and 10 megapixels on the Infinity O display cutout camera on the inside display. The rear camera has some interesting tricks. So when you have the phone in flex mode, you'll be able to see a live viewfinder of what the camera is actually seeing on the top half of the screen, and on the bottom half you'll be able to see the photos that you've taken, the past 5 or so that you've shot. Then you'll also be able to show someone that you're taking a photo of. If you have the phone open, they'll be able to see what the preview of the image looks like using the front cover. Then there's an auto framing feature. Now this one sounds pretty interesting. When you're taking a video, the camera will use machine learning and facial recognition to work out how many people are in the frame and be able to follow the action. So it doesn't mean that the phone itself is gonna just move on its own accord like if it was on a spinner or something. It's actually just gonna be switching between the ultra wide and the wide cameras to make sure that people are in the frame and in the video as they enter in and out, to make sure that if you're doing a vlog or something and you're moving around and the camera's static, you will be in the shot. Now the other thing to note about the camera technology is that unfortunately You don't get the 8K video recording or the 108 megapixel sensor on something like the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, but you do still get Pro mode, which means manual exposure control for photos, night mode, and single take, and a bunch of those other features. Multitasking is obviously a big part about buying a foldable phone, and the Z Fold 2 doesn't look like it's going to slouch on this at all. There's lots of multitasking options. The first is obviously, like we saw in the original Fold, the ability to have one app on one side of the screen and one on the other when the phone is open. You'll also be able to have 3 apps open at one time, be able to change the layout and size accordingly, and set a preset. You'll also be able to drag and drop between the different windows. For example, if you have like a PowerPoint open in one side and then your gallery in the other, you can just drag across images really easily. Plus, certain third-party apps are going to be optimized for the display. So things like Spotify, YouTube, Gmail, and Microsoft Office, for example, will all have usability tweaks to make the most of that screen. Now, the wireless DeX capability is pretty much going to be the same as it is on the Note 20 Ultra, so you'll be able to throw your screen to a larger screen like a Samsung television. The other thing that's super intriguing about the Z Fold 2 is not actually the hardware, it's this other ZPremier service that comes with your $2,000 phone. Now, this is like kind of a concierge service. We saw an earlier iteration of it when you bought a Z Fold and the Z Flip. You can call a hotline to get help with your device if you need. There's also an app-based way to get support. But then there's some other more tangible benefits that are actually like physical benefits. There's Founders Club membership, there is access to golf courses. There are things like LinkedIn Premium memberships, fitness memberships, and classes available. And my personal favorite is a Michelin star meal in your house. I mean, like, it's not worth $2,000 for me, but sign me up. Like, I want this Michelin star meal if I'm buying a fancy phone as well. So that's pretty intriguing. And the list is constantly going to be added to over time. So really interested to see who takes advantage of the ZPremier service and if it's worth it for you. But really the most important part of that ZPremier service, to me at least, seems to be that one-time screen replacement option. So if something happens to that internal 7.6-inch display, what's going to happen is you can request a replacement and it will cost you $149. So it's a little bit of extra peace of mind, so you don't have to completely buy a brand new phone if something happens to that internal display. All right, that's a lot to take in, but we are going to be getting our hands on a Z Fold 2 really soon, so we'll have lots more hands-on impressions and of course a full review to share with you. So if you want to find out more about that, if you're not already, make sure you subscribe down there for the latest on everything tech and everything foldable phones.